Hello, my name is Maxine Croft and I'm a coach who specialises in helping people who struggle with their weight. Today I want to talk about emotional eating and give you a technique if this is something that you find yourself doing from time to time. So emotional eating is eating when you're not really hungry, or maybe you are a little bit hungry but you find yourself eating in a way that you wouldn't choose to eat if it were not for the fact that you're feeling vulnerable in some way. So what tends to happen is you're experiencing some kind of negative emotion and you turn to food as a kind of relief to sort of change your state and change the emotion that you're feeling at that moment. So somewhere along the lines you've probably learned to associate these two things, not feeling good and eating something to make yourself feel better, which it might do in the very, very short term, but as we all know, in the long term we end up slightly wishing that we hadn't done it. So the sort of emotions I'm talking about here are things like, feeling a bit sad, feeling a bit down, or frustrated, or disappointed, a bit guilty, or even bored, feeling really like, I'm just so fed up and I just want to do something, so I'm going to eat something. Or even real tiredness when you're just exhausted and so you feel like, just eating something is going to make you feel a bit perkier, a bit better. So it can happen very much in a trance-like state. It's a very sort of automatic thing, where it's just boom, it's over, and then you're like, wow, what just happened? I just ate so much, and I didn't want to do that. But I think it's also really important to note that when we do engage in emotional eating, it's not that we're trying to sabotage ourselves in any way. It's just that somewhere in our psyche, a part of us thinks, oh, you're not feeling so great. Why don't you do this? It's going to make you feel better. I think it's quite nice to know that we're actually not out there trying to sort of misdirect us. It's just that, we're vulnerable in that moment and we end up doing a behaviour that we end up regretting later. So the technique I would like to share with you is about finding the gap. And what I mean by that is that a lot of our behaviours are quite automatic. There's a stimulus and then there's a response, the response being the behaviour. So the stimulus could be anything like externally in our environment or perhaps internally, like a feeling that we have, and then we go to the response. Stimulus, response, and very fast and very automatic. But in between the stimulus and response, there is a very, very small little gap. And if you can find the gap, then you give yourself the opportunity to change the response and do something different. But it can be quite difficult to find the gap because it is very fast. And so that is half the battle. So if you can find that moment, that pause, then you are actually giving yourself a chance to do something different. And when you do find it, I'd ask you to try two very pertinent questions in that moment. What am I thinking and what am I feeling? Because if you can identify what your experience actually is, then you can better serve that experience than just jumping into the food. So if you are feeling a bit sad, perhaps that's a good moment to reconnect, to call a friend or a family member or go out in nature or do something that's going to allow you to feel a bit more connected to the world. If you are feeling really bored, how about trying to find something to re-engage you again, to remind yourself that there's fun out there. Again, that could actually just be speaking to a friend, or it could be, checking out your holiday plans or what you're going to do at the weekend, or, a whole, whatever it is that really, that makes you feel that there's fun out there again. And also that feeling of, I just want something. And if you've got that, I don't know what it is that I want, but I want something, take yourself away from the food and just sit quietly. Take a few deep breaths and really get in touch with what's going on with you. So my advice is, when you start to feel that pull towards the food, before you jump, take a moment, and in that moment, give yourself the opportunity to make a different decision so that you are not imprisoned by your automatic responses and behaviours. Now, I'm not saying that this is the answer to emotional eating by any means, and there may well be moments when you find that gap and you go, yes, I found it, but you know what? I'm still going to do exactly what I want to do and I'm going for the food, and that's fine. But keep practicing, because not every time it's not every time that you're going to jump if you start becoming more aware of what you're actually experiencing. And with time, you may find yourself making some different decisions, and they may become the things that you automatically end up doing. So thank you very much.